and there was no faction, no litigation. There were problems, but we managed them. Problems are to be managed. If you want to rule Nigeria, you must learn to manage 440 ethnic groups. We will not all agree on everything. So, soon after I left, I retired at the age of 80. Shehu tried to prevail on me not to go. I said I must go so the younger people can have a chance. I heard there were factions and disagreements. Natural. I tried discreetly to do something. But I'm assured by the presidential candidate that progress is now being made. I thank God and I thank him and I thank Shehu for making the progress possible. I pray to Allah that very soon everybody will be together. Politics is a numbers game. Every vote counts. So I will be glad to be here again whenever that rapprochement takes place and people bury the hatches. One more point and I will call the tape. I was in a party called AD. There were factions. They went to court 22 years ago. Some of the cases are still in court. Some of the litigants are there. But the cases linger on. It will not be so here by the grace of Allah. Amen. Now, in the name of God Almighty, I have the great privilege and honor to call the tape to the new Secretariat of the Social Democratic Party, the only party in Nigeria.
Yes.
Others have no manifesto, they have no ideology.
Yes.
They are just opportunistic gang up for power. Yes. This is the only party. In the name of Allah, I have the privilege to call the tape for the benefit of Nigerians and for the glory of God. Amen. Congratulations.
The president and the vice sit together.
When we decided to revive the SDP, some people thought it was going to be impossible. But by Allah's grace, we were able to do it. Now, I was chairman for 7 years, during which period we had no crisis, there was no litigation of any kind, and the party grew and grew to the point where a major faction of the PDP saw the goodness in our party and came over and joined us. And one of the most distinguished beneficiaries of that move is our national chairman today, Alhaji Shehu Gaban. I'm happy to see what has happened in the last 2.5 years. The party has grown and has extended its reach and populated its positions. The party has also been able to nominate a very young presidential candidate. I didn't know the presidential candidate until about 2 years ago, when he came to see me in Akure, and let me confess that after talking to him for 30 minutes, I was amazed. Those who know me know that it's difficult to impress me. I'm a very difficult man to please. But in 30 minutes, Adewale convinced me that he deserves to be what he is today. He did not only demonstrate his knowledge of law, which I expected him to have. He showed me that he was equally knowledgeable about architecture, history, anthropology, etc., etc. You need such a broad-minded, broadly educated man like that to lead our country. The party may not have governors today, may not be in Aso Rock today, but I have no doubt in my mind that Aso Rock tomorrow, governorship lodges tomorrow belong to the SDP. I'm not just being sentimental. I'm saying so for one important reason. Nigeria today is in crisis. You cannot move from one town to another without the fear of being kidnapped. I myself was kidnapped for 4 days, 7 years ago on my farm. When I was a child of 14, I traveled from Akure to Lagos to attend secondary school by myself. No kidnapper, no problem. At the age of 14. At 77 years old, I was kidnapped on my own farm. That tells you the dramatic decline in Nigeria. And only a party properly so-called can change it. Not these other so-called big parties. When I say they are not parties, they say, but they control government. They control the federal government, they control state government. And I tell them, when the army was in power, it controlled government, didn't it? But did that turn the army into a party? So controlling government does not define a party. A party is a collection of men and women who share the same ideological and political philosophy as to how to govern a society for the benefit of our people. Ask these other parties, what is their philosophy? They don't know it. Where is their manifesto? They have none. And Nigeria vote for them and give them a blank check. And what do? They gather all the money in the treasury and put in their pockets. And so things go from bad to worse. This is the only party with the right ideology and philosophy and manifesto. So you deserve to control the next government. And by the grace of God, you will do so. Because people like me in our old age, you want to be able to sleep and rest in our homes without anxiety. We have children and grandchildren. Let me tell you something. Most of my grandchildren are foreigners. My children looked around and saw that Nigeria was in decline. So they decided to have their children abroad. Against my advice. If you do not restructure Nigeria and revive Nigeria, more and more young people will desert Nigeria. All the doctors have actually gone. We have to, SDP must govern to arrest that trend. Otherwise, Nigeria will be just a part of history. But Allah's grace will not be part of just past history. It will be well with us. I congratulate the ESCO and the National Working Committee for the progress made in this party. And as I said when I was cutting the tape, I'm very happy that progress is being made in bringing back some of those who had left the party. Politics is a numbers game. Everybody has a vote. Please, bring everybody together and populate the party and surprise the so-called big parties in this election. Nigerians are looking for a party to vote for. They look at the so-called big parties. They have serious questions about them and about their candidates. Not so with your party. Not so with the SDP. Not so with Wole Adebayo. So you have a fantastic chance to help Nigeria chart a new path. To help Nigeria avoid disaster. And to do that, please, you must restructure Nigeria to give Nigeria a new lease of life. Be a game changer, and it will be well with you and the party. Once again, I'm happy to be here. I'll be glad to come again when the next president is being inaugurated in Aso Rock. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, yes, sir. Thank you. Of Nigeria. And I welcome you to SDP. I welcome you to Progress.
I welcome you to a new chapter in the life of this country. What the Social Democratic Party is bringing to Nigeria, which is symbolized by this white building, is the white horse that says farewell to poverty and now says farewell to insecurity. I invoke the spirit of the icon of Nigerian democracy, the martyr, M.K.O. Abiola, who rode the horse, the white horse, to victory on June 12, 1993, and who passed a message to the Nigerian people that poverty is ungodly, and that poverty is unnatural, and that poverty is un-Nigerian, and that if we could come together and follow our constitution and do what is right by the people, and take a lot of actions on the left side of the divide, that we could eradicate poverty in 4 years. The Nigerian people believe and voted for Chief M.K.O Abiola. But the rest is history. The first time I will meet Chief Falai was at Alagban police station when he was detained there. And I have a friend of mine who we went together, and we had a seminar with them and all the political prisoners who were prisoners just because they wanted that mandate to be enforced. But they were not fighting for Abiola, and they were not fighting for themselves. They were fighting against the nightmare we are facing now. They could see that if we did not eradicate poverty, that poverty will produce children, and the children, one of it will be insecurity and underdevelopment and disunity, because a poor people in a tense environment, in an insecure environment, cannot be asked to practice love to one another. They will be lashing out against one another, and institutions will be undermined by poor people who are struggling in their life, and those who have opportunity to man institutions will be using the institutional resources to escape from poverty personally. So we are now back 30 years later. We are telling the Nigerian people, through the symbolism of what we are doing today by opening this office, that through this office, truth will be told to the Nigerian people. Through this office, justice will be spread across the country. Through this office, the manifesto of M.K.O Abiola, farewell to poverty and insecurity, and the constitutional mandate in Chapter 2 of the Nigerian Constitution for us to spend the money of Nigerian people in the interest of the Nigerian people. It's what brought us today. And I must thank my brother, Shehu Gabam, without whom I will not be in this political party. And without whom we will not have the best presidential convention, national convention of all the political parties. And I must thank also our uncle, my uncle, the national secretary of the party. He has humility, he has intellect, and he has doggedness. He looks gentle, but he's a tough fighter. And he's the only national chairman who, for the sake of the country, stepped down as national chairman and became national secretary. There is a political party whose members have reported the chairman to police stations, to traditional rulers, to everybody, to say he should step down. The man has run away to Europe. He refused to step down. Chief Dr. Oluwagunloye has shown that he is a man who can sacrifice everything for the country. Now, I tell Nigerians, if you want to know whether I will be a good president, look at my decisions that I've taken. Of all the political parties, I've chosen the SDP. Could there be a better decision? Of all the money bags and all the people of title and claims and all of that, I've chosen a youth, a dynamic person, a leader of change and answers in the northern Nigeria, a dynamic banker, economist, a man of profound integrity, Yusuf Salisu Buhari, as my vice president. And SDP has the youngest state chairman of the political parties. If you look at our chairmen, they represent the future. They represent energy. So I will not take all the time, except to tell the Nigerian people that the alternative you have been looking for is here. that the excuse that you did not have a choice is now gone. And that don't listen to pundits. Pundits will eat their words in February. We will go to each of the 176,840 polling units, each of the 8,800 wards, each of the 774 local governments, each of the 36 states and the FCT, each of the 6 zones and all over the country, and deliver victory for the Nigerian people. Victory for SDP. It's not only when we win the election. Victory is when 80% or any portion of national resources will not be stolen. Victory is when every child is in school and can complete school without strikes. Victory is when you have sound medical care for everybody. Victory is when you have a stable currency that will not make you poor while working. Victory is when human rights, rule of law does not depend on the government, but depends on the machinery of state. Victory is when all the black people in the world will say, whatever happens to us, thank God there's Nigeria. Victory is for the SDP. Thank you.